Good evening. Welcome to Bowles' Theory of Everything. Today I'm going to look at Bowles' line, the aim, and I'm going to do a detailed demonstration. In a recent video, I stressed the importance of line, particularly the closer you get to the jack. Bowles jack high are not much good, but bowls dead in front of the jack, they're the ones to go for. In that video, I gave a brief theory of the methods you can use to get your bowl in line with the jack. Today, I'm going to show that theory in a practical demonstration. Firstly, the method for taking your line. I explained that there were several methods. Perhaps the two most common are taking a line from a point on the bank. You can see there I've placed 3 red bowls up near the number 1 at the far end. So they're what I'm going to take as lines in a minute. So that's one method. The other method is to bowl at the apex of the arc. So that's where the arc reaches its furthest point out and then starts to come back into the jack. And I put another bowl roughly where the apex might be on this 3/4 length jack. Today I'm going to use the first of these methods to demonstrate. So I'm going to be aiming a point on the bank. This is my favourite method, but it also underpins the other methods that you've got. So for example, if you are using that apex of the jack, because it's in an area of the green with no markers, sometimes you lose your bearings and your line. So you can always look at the bank to reset where your arc point is. So before I show you how to get your line, you must have an accurate and repeatable delivery. You have to have a good base from which you can make adjustments to your line. There's no point in trying to make a fine adjustment to something that doesn't work in the first place. You've got to be able to bowl in the direction to which you're aiming time after time. So practice this first if you think you need to. So here I am going to take my first bowl. Could be a strange rink. So rule of thumb, I know my bowls are roughly where that number 1 is, the middle of those 3 bowls. So I start off not so concerned about length today, but I have put a jack up there on 3/4 length. That red bowl might be in the way, that's in the arc, but we'll see. I'll bowl the first bowl up and it hopefully should, the line should be somewhere near that jack. So here we go. So there it comes back. So that's a slightly wide of the jack. Now at this point, I'm going to show you how to bowl to the other 2 points, one of which should end up a yard wider than the bowl I've just bowled, and I'm going to bowl to the right hand one, which should end up roughly a yard inside the bowl I've just bowled. I'm now going to bowl to the left hand one of those bowls, which should put me a yard wider than the first bowl I've bowled down there. So I'm going to go here on the mat, aim for that outside bowl, and see if it does go about a yard wide of the other. There are lots of variables like the different speeds of the green and the geometry of the weight. And I have gone a bit heavier, but you can see I have gone about that same distance wide of the first bowl, which is how much I've aimed to the left of that bowl. I'm now going to bowl to the inside of that marker bowl. It's the bowl on the right hand side of the 3 down the end, in between, about a yard wide to the right of the number 1 on the bank. And where it should be coming to rest is about a yard to the right of the first bowl I bowl, which is the one near the jack. So here I go. I'm going to be bowling down to the right hand one of those reds, and see where it ends up. bit short, but I think it's I think you'll see it's got the line right. You can see that it's come to rest a good yard to the right of the first bowl. The demonstration I've just given is to adjust a big amount. I've now set the bowls at the end for about a 2 to 3 width, up near the number 1. So we'll bowl the first bowl and hopefully get near the jack, and then I'll bowl at the outer bowl, the inner bowl, and to see if it gives us the required adjustment. Aiming at the jack and hopefully get that line right. So that I've aimed at the number 1. Might be a bit short. But that's, you can see, is pretty much in line with the jack. I'm now going to bowl to the outer one of those bowls to get an extra 1.5 feet of width. And let's see if that can do that. Bowling to the outside of those bowls. So that's given more or less that extra width. I'm now going to bowl to the inner one of those markers to bowl on the other side of the jack. So that's one's a narrower line. Don't worry about the length, it's just seeing you can get them. And this one should go over just the other side, like that. So there you can see I've just had that little bit extra width each time. You have to keep doing those fine adjustments until you get quite close, and then that's the end of the first stage. The next stage I'll tell you in a minute. I'm going to show you a fine adjustment after you've taken the point on the bank, and I'm going to use the mat to go one side to the other. As I said, you can see my length isn't very good because I'm not warmed up and I haven't played much, and I do apologise, but the line is the important thing today, and the line you should get whether you've practiced or not. So what I'm going to do is show you the difference you get by going the inside or the outside of the mat. So I'm going to aim for the number 1, the middle bowl there. Firstly, I'm going to bowl right on the furthest part outside the mat I can get. Any part of your foot over the mat counts. So here we go, off we go, and I can aim for that number 1. And that should go slightly across the jack, because that's gone across the jack because I've come this much out. It's going to throw that ball over that side. Now I'm going to go over the inside of the mat, same bowl. That will increase my angle outwards and send the bowl wider, and it should be something like a foot wider than the first one at least. So here I go, right on the very edge, aim for the number 1, see what the difference is. That is longer, but you'll find that it should come up a bit wider. And there it is. That's, if you can bring the camera right behind, dead in line. Now the difference between those two bowls is roughly the width of the mat. So that's how much you can bowl your two bowls on a different line by taking a different point on the mat. Very powerful tool. Okay, mat's right back near the tee, jack's on the tee, so this should be roughly in line with the jack, and that's gone away. I think that's quite central. See where that ends up. Yeah, a bit short of the jack, but you can see that's pretty much in line with the jack. So what I'm going to do now is put this mat up another 3.5 yards. 1, 2, 3. and a half. I've got the mat this 3.5, 4 yards up. I'm going to take the same aiming point, the number 1, and because it's a wider angle, it's pushing that bowl out wider, it will end up to the left of the jack by, who knows, 2 or 3 feet. So let's give it a go and see where it ends up. So I'm going to bowl for that number 1. And because I've got the mat up, it's going to end up a bit to the left of the jack. And there it is. So that moving that mat up has increased the width another couple of feet. I'm now going to move the mat, get another bowl, and move the mat up to near the minimum point, another 4 yards up the rink. This will increase the angle and send the bowl further out wide. It's on a minimum 23 meters, but I'll show you how much wider it will go by having the mat up. There it goes. So you can see that, and there it goes. So that's the same sort of distance. You see how much extra width is going on each time you move the mat up the rink. So they're the 3 methods of adjusting your line. That is moving the marker on the bank in and out, or moving the position on the mat, inside the mat or outside of the mat, or moving the mat up and down the rink. Now, having experimented with all those, in the game, you sometimes hit a sweet spot. So you know if the mat is in a particular point, I like to say, what's the most distinguishable point on the bank? And it might be the number 1. So then I work backwards and I say, where should the mat be if I'm aiming at number 1 to get to the jack? And then the mat might be on the tee, it might be up here, it might be up at the 2 spot. But I do that, and then the most important thing for me is the mat. I know I'm going to aim at that number. I know if I'm on the mat, I'm going to hit the jack line. So that's another way of working out the best way of getting near that jack. One word about backhand and forehand. So I've used the backhand for all my examples because it's easier to show you. The principle is exactly the same for the forehand. Exactly the same. You just have to remember that because you're bowling wide of the mat, it's a slightly different line. The forehand is there, and the backhand is there. So they're about a shoulder's width apart. So you're sending that bowl off from a wider point. And because you're doing that, you've got to aim a little bit wider on the forehand. Here, this bowl is throwing the bowl out at a sharper angle outwards. Therefore, you don't have to take such a wide line. Now, it's a bit counterintuitive, but that's the way it is. This one, you've got to bowl slightly wider of the number 3. Because if you bowl at the number 3, I'll show you this briefly. If you bowl at the number 3, you'll find that it'll swing over because you haven't allowed for your shoulder width. So if you bowl at that number 3, which I'm doing now, that's heading for the 3, you'll find that will swing over because I haven't allowed for the shoulder width. Probably, you see it swung over? I've got to allow even more. So there's the examples of finding a right line, and in summary, practice and you'll get there. And please subscribe, show me how you've done and found the line. If you've got interesting ways of getting the line, I know there are lots of other ways. Some people just look at the jack and estimate. You let me know, and I'm so interested in it because I love theories of the line. So thanks for watching once again, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.